What's going on, guys? I'm doing a live for the first time off just YouTube alone. I am still figuring out how to do it. Let's figure out. I was gonna react to the Adin Ross and Candace Owens or the stream that just happened. I've been having technical difficulties today, guys. I didn't mean to start it over. I think 3 times now. Sorry about that. But yeah, let's react to this together. They talked about very important topics in regards to the election, Trump versus Kamala, the fake Kamala hype that we've all been hearing pushed from the liberal mainstream media, the future of our country, what's being taught in classrooms. Yeah, a lot of good topics. And please like, comment, subscribe. We are close to 500 subscribers. So I appreciate all the love and support I've gotten. I've had a really good month and I couldn't do it without you guys. So I really appreciate it. I will also be doing a street interview tomorrow. I'm going to try to do multiple places actually and see how that goes. So I hope you guys check that out. I have a lot of big plans moving forward. Let's get it started, y'all.
Kamala getting like so much press. I see her everywhere. I see people like really like falling for it. I see her everywhere. It was out of the blue. As soon as Biden dropped out, it's like she's literally blasted everywhere I see. I wanted to ask you why is that?
Adin, because everything is fake and gay, right? So they just like put her into the
Chevy Equinox EV starting at $34,995. Go EV without changing a thing. Chevrolet.
Sorry, guys.
These $5 taste of KFC deals we got next.
It's legendary.
Okay.
the machine, and then suddenly that's it, she's our new Beyonce. And just right on time, like Megan Thee Stallion comes out and starts twerking for votes. It's like, okay, we're just gonna run the exact same repeat. It's like one half of the WAP duo. Back when it was Biden running for office, it was Cardi B. Now it's Kamala Harris. They've got Megan Thee Stallion twerking for votes and fundraisers. I'm like, well, wow, we're just really gonna run the exact same thing. And then they're like suddenly trying to like hype Beyonce at the DNC, and she comes out to Beyonce. We fully know she could not even sing the lyrics to that Beyonce song that she walked out to. But now all of a sudden she's like speaking about her Black heritage. Before this, when she was elected into Congress, all she spoke about was being like the first Indian elected to this. Like, so it's just like, and people fall for it. That's the part that really trips me out. It's like, how can you continually keep falling for it? That's what's weird. I feel like I'm on the outside.
It's because the Democrat Party clearly thinks Americans are dumb. They think that you are too dumb to go out and do your own independent research, and that if they hire these rich celebrities, these rich actors, these rich musicians, that you're just going to follow along like a little sheep and not ask questions and not actually vote off policy or ask questions in regards to policy. They think that Megan Thee Stallion shaking her booty and talking about woman inappropriately in front of kids as well is going to buy votes for some way. But you know what? The population is waking up. I don't think minority voters or voters in general are falling for the fake BS anymore. And they're going to need more than these elites or these actors or these musicians. They're going to need some type of policy to be able to vote for you moving forward, because policy is what runs a country.
Watching a movie, and I've seen the movie and the script so many times, and yet the characters in it really play their parts every time. You know, like they're like, oh, my first time a woman, and like we're running like the Hillary Clinton I'm with her vibes from 2016, and it's gonna be the first. Like, how many times can we keep doing this? And so I just kind of have like tapped out from it, because I can't stand to watch it. I just need and crave something more authentic right now.
Yeah. I get what you're saying. I really do. You know, it's all so like stupid. And again, like that's what I want. It's like all of a sudden she just started claiming that she's Black, and like, and like it's just like all this like she's just like switching up, and then like I saw like the way that she like speaks now, like she like changes her accent, her tone, and her voice. It's just like so. It's corny.
Yeah, because the Democrats think Americans are idiots. They think also not only if they bring Hollywood into the picture, but if they talk with some type of accent that's going to make you resemble you more as a person. I don't get it. It's almost like an insult to our intelligence to think that just because you talk a different way or bring a ghetto disgusting rapper to a concert that's gonna make us want to vote for you even more. It's an insult to our intelligence, as I constantly say. Bring policy, bring something we can actually discuss about and see if this can benefit our future, our country's future. But the Democrats don't have any policy agendas. All they have is abortions, and that's it.
It really, really is.
Quoting rappers now too. Like, who in their right mind thinks that when Kamala Harris, I don't even know what her husband's name is. I literally don't. Is it Doug? Is her husband's name Doug?
I don't know.
Literally, I don't know what her husband. I think it might be Doug. I think so. But who actually thinks that when you get up in the Harris household, that they're listening to Megan Thee Stallion and like Offset and all of the rappers who she's now quoting on stage? Like, who actually thinks she knows those songs? And I go, nobody can be that dumb. And then you look out and there's people like, yes, ha, not like us, ain't like us. Like, I'm like, who actually thinks that she's listening to that music?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it really just shows you like the power of the mainstream media, like the propaganda really works. If you just say something enough times, it becomes true. And so all they have to do is sell it to you, put a little sprinkle of a Beyonce song on it, and people are like, yeah, I'm with her. Like, she's the truth, even though nothing she has ever said has been honest or truthful.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong about that. It's all a bunch of bullshit. And it's a very important election this year. And I think that we have to all really, really be careful.
This is not just an important election. This is the most important election in our country's history. This is going to dictate the future of our country, and not just our country, but the history of our world. We will either live and be free and have a future for our children and our country, or we will be slaves to the system under Kamala and have no rights at all. And we will be overtaken by illegals all across the world, and they will replace us. It is the great replacement theory happening in front of our eyes. And the Democrats don't want us to believe our lying eyes or what we see. They just want to believe that Trump's a threat to our democracy because January and the insurrection that never happened, and because he's a threat to our democracy and he's a racist. So vote for us.
I think everyone's vote truly matters. I think everyone needs to really, really take a lot of thinking, but it's not hard to really think about it into their vote because it's a very, very important election. What do you think is going to happen? What are your predictions for this election?
I kind of got out of political prognostications last election because I'm one of the people, oh my gosh, who believes that the last election was fully stolen. It's just not normal.
I'm so glad that YouTube actually lets you discuss that now. Obviously, it was, it was rigged, as I say, because if you think about it, just the Hunter Biden laptop alone would have changed the outlook of the election, not including record minorities actually coming in support of Trump now, which is going to make a huge difference in the outcome of the election. But past that, the 51 intelligence agency officers of the CIA who came out and said it was Russian disinformation, or how about the Russia hoax that Hillary Clinton and the Obama administration pulled on Trump? Hillary Clinton bought the dossier that started the whole Russia hoax. Or how about the fact that that Biden and Obama's administration spied on a presidential campaign? I feel like that's some type of treason, as they call it. But don't ask questions about Hillary Clinton's emails. Don't ask questions about Obama bombing people progressively and a lot. Don't ask questions about the connection with Burisma and Hunter Biden and Joe Biden. Don't ask that, or don't ask about how Kamala sucked her way to the top. Let's focus on Trump, because we have Trump derangement syndrome and it runs these liberals. But guess what? The Democrat Party, I really think they are a dying breed. They are a very, very small minority of soy boys, very weak men, and liberal women who are usually single cat ladies, as JD Vance says. They don't offer anything. They are voting just off abortion rights, and it's very sad and pathetic.
I've been in America my whole life. You don't say, let's stop counting votes, and then when people are dead asleep, the exact opposite result happens. And it doesn't matter how much the media tries to gaslight me about that. I'm never going to believe the 2020 election was not rigged.
Yeah.
And we have not addressed those problems. So when we get into this song and dance of who's going to win, I'm going, okay, but what have we done to...
This is my first time doing just a YouTube live, and it looks not as clear as when I use StreamYard. Please let me know, guys, in the comments if it's clear and that you can hear clearly. Thank you.
To address all of these things that were passed in lieu of COVID. Suddenly we're like flooding people with mail-in ballots. I think California made that a thing forever. Like Gavin Newsom was like, no, forever, mail-in ballots.
Oh, he's the worst.
Everyone's going to get one, whether you request one or not. And so I've lost faith in our institutions to begin with. Obviously, my hope and my encouragement is for everyone to get out and vote for Trump, because if you are between the two people, I mean, one wants to usher in a state of communism, right? So if you are really believing, because this woman is half Indian and she's not even half black, just to be clear, like we can't even get clarity on that. She might be like 10% black somewhere, but even her father is Indian. So it's just completely wild. If you think that that's a reason for you to ignore the policies that she has supported and you don't think it's going to impact your life, man, look around. How are we at the phase right now, Adin, where people are not even believing their own eyes?
Like, it's laughable as well how the left is trying to portray Kamala as like a hard on crime politician when so this is the difference. And they try to say that, oh, you saying she wasn't hard on crime, but then you say she is. No, we are calling out her clear corruption. There is a difference between prosecuting people to the law that they broke and then overselling or over charging people with little weed crimes or like minor weed charges and then overcharging them for years. Or how about the fact that she slept her way to the top, or she used minorities for lower, like slave labor in prisons? There's so much corruption about her past, or the fact that she's literally switching on all of her policy plans now because she knows it's not popular. They are trying to make her come off as a centrist. She is more liberal than Obama, more liberal than anyone I've ever seen. She's going to be way more liberal and terrible than Biden. And Biden, he's the worst president in history. Let me be very clear.
Everybody knows they were living better under Trump. And they're buying the rhetoric that when Trump gets into office, like, you're going to be back in slave chains. And I'm like, he was already in office. Like, how can somebody convince you against your own experiences? Like, it's amazing to me how propaganda works. But, I'm with Trump. I support Trump. I hope that Trump wins. But I don't have enough faith in our institutions to put in a guess and say, like, he's definitely got this thing,
Yeah, I agree with exactly what you just said. I want to touch base on the topic that's really important to me that actually bugs me, right? Like, I have no issue with what people want to do, with their lives. Like, everyone deserves to be happy, I believe, and I believe that everyone deserves to do what they want to do. Everyone's life is very important, and they should all be, basically do what they want to do. I just don't like certain agendas being pushed on the youth, and I don't like certain agendas being pushed on certain groups of people. And I want to know your thoughts on that. Like, do you see anything like nowadays in the world where it's being pushed on children, the youth, etc.? Any specific?
Yeah, so I have this motto, and I'm going to start selling T-shirts that just say "Bring back cigarettes." People go, "What are you talking about? Cigarettes were so bad; they gave you cancer." Well, let me explain it. So when I was growing up, there was this huge campaign, a very successful campaign, to get Americans to stop smoking cigarettes, because it is natural for children to want to rebel, right? That stage of adolescence is never going to go away. And it used to be, when we were like a normal country, when kids were rebelling, they were like, I'm going to go smoke a cigarette and skip school. Nowadays, it's like, hey, I'm going to go on puberty blockers. Like, now we put in like Operation LGBTQ.
Yes, it's a cult. It's literally a cult. They are pushing this at all ages on kids while telling them that they are racist by the skin color that they were born with, while pushing this gender nonsense. And who do they go after? They go after the most vulnerable, the people who probably get picked on, who may have some minor issues that they just need to speak to someone about. And instead they approach them and offer this nonsense treatment that there's no long-term studies on, no help, by the way, long-term. If you want to switch back, it is life-changing operation that you can never come back from. And it's heartbreaking that they're pushing this on our most youngest and most vulnerable
community. And the kids are doing things that are fundamentally changing their entire lives, like changing their entire prospect for life. It's like they're experimenting with their bodies. And that is such a shame to me, And so when I see this operation LGBTQ community, and you see that they've now implemented this into the school system, into the public school agenda, trying to make children, confuse children when they're young. It absolutely infuriates me as a parent and just as a moral citizen. Like, you don't even have to be a parent to understand how wrong this is and how demented it is to utilize adolescence as a time to manipulate children into making lifelong decisions. And I want to be clear, it's not just morally wrong, it's an
Looking for something delicious and affordable? Enjoy Kellogg's cereal with milk and fruit for less than $1.
Stupid pop-ups. Come on.
evil.
There we go.
It's an evil, and there's a reason for that. People have to be willing to have these conversations. Why do they want everybody to be homosexual? Like, what is so wrong about being a straight male in today's society? Well, the truth is that you're starting to see that the government just wants to have domain over your entire life, everything. I mean, down from what you're eating. They're poisoning us. They're trying to get people on pharmaceuticals as young as possible, you know? And in order to really complete that takeover of your life, there can be no one to stand up to them, right? And what is the biggest threat to a government? Strong men. Strong men. And so it makes me, infuriates me that they're trying to just like instill this homosexual agenda on children without them understanding that it's a part of a larger evil agenda.
I want to ask you a question.
Yep. They are hating on young men. They don't want you to be manly. They are pushing men to be feminine. They are also pushing men to get their penises chopped off while there's no long-term studies of it. And the medicine they are giving these minors, they give for pedophiles, convicted pedophiles. So again, they are using the children as the guinea pigs with no long-term studies. It's a very scary situation. Come on.
As a mom, and you like you just said, like it makes you upset. Obviously, of course, I think any more person, like you said as well, it makes me upset, and I'm not even a parent. If I don't know what you're planning on doing with your kids, but you obviously want to make sure they're getting a good education. Do you plan on putting them in a public school that I don't know, what state do you live in?
Sorry. I live in Tennessee, and my plans are to homeschool. I just had this conversation with my husband this week. So it's so funny you're saying that, because we met a family that homeschooled their children, and they were an absolute delight. I mean, just well-rounded children who are extremely athletic, in the top 1% in the nation for mathematics. And you realize that, wow, when you
this is the type of stuff we need to be focused on teaching kids in school. It's all become woke ideology of the trans movement, BLM, and all this woke diversity crap. We need to teach basic studies to make kids smart again. The kids are more stupid than ever. And it's just sad, because our kids are the most vulnerable ones. They're the future, and they are the biggest attributes that we need to protect for our future. Otherwise, we're screwed.
Take this stuff at home. The public school system is an abject failure. And so I know that it's a luxury to say that you can homeschool your kids. For some people, it's a huge luxury, because unfortunately you have both parents working. Thank you, feminism. Yay, women love working just like men. Thanks, feminists. But my plan and my goal and my hope is to homeschool my children, because I just can't put them in this situation that I see happening.
I do have a question, because if I ever have kids, I plan on doing the same thing, because the education system now is horrible. But the only thing that I ever thought of, and I want to know what you think of this, is what about their social life? What about how do they make
the children's have gone insane, or the schools have gone insane. I'm in California, and let me tell you, I've seen plenty of schools, and when you walk in to hand them stuff, because it has to do with my work, you will see literally just rainbow decorations, rainbow books, rainbow flags, just everywhere decorated through the schools. I don't get the point of it. What is the point of replacing the American flag with the rainbow flag? I don't get it. It just doesn't make any sense to me. You say don't force religions on you, yet you force these ideologies on the younger generations. It seems like every 3 to 4 months there's a new movement from the left, and if you don't agree with it, you are canceled or labeled as a bigot.
How do they learn to develop how to communicate with people, and networking and things like that? How are they going to learn how to get friends, basically? How does that happen?
Yes, well, the early socialization happens when you have siblings. So I stand up for government also by just believing that we should all be having tons of kids. And they keep telling us, just have one, don't be selfish. No, have siblings. If you grow up with siblings, you know how it works. You get beat up. You're fighting, you're socialized pretty quickly, and you have to survive, and you're not a brat. But the second element of that is to put them into a ton of activities, So I still want my kids to be playing sports. I still want them to be dancing. I want my little girl. I have this dream that she's going to dance ballet, even though it may be against the will. It might be me living through my child vicariously. And that's how you socialize. But also micro communities. This is what it's really about. Like, know your neighbors. That's normal. Like, we've gotten so far away from that thanks to this city agenda. Like, it's New York.
I would say it's also technology. A lot of people are focused on their phones. They're addicted to video games. They cannot put their software that they use in their hands down. They're obsessed with it. And that also that creates like what's the term I'm thinking of? Like stress, like your stress if you're not around it, if you don't have it, if you're not on it constantly. We need to make sure these kids are outside playing, having a life, getting outside of the little social bubble that is social media, because it is terrible, I would say, on the younger generations, and they are being groomed at all ages on these platforms.
LA. And what was so refreshing about moving to the South is people care and know their neighbors. Like, as soon as you move in, like that idea of someone bringing over a cup of sugar, that's real. People sent us cookies. People sent us flowers, welcome to the neighborhood. They want to know about you. And we've just been removed so far away from that. And so reinstilling, family, faith, and neighborhood, I think, is a big part of that. And of course, I'm a Christian. So getting involved with the church, you naturally have a community.
Yeah, it's so funny because now schools nowadays, they
I can't believe
I'm sorry, guys.
since we're using Hilton Honors points. Yep.
Stupid pop-ups so much in this video.
They used to teach like God and like the Bible and like all this stuff, right? And it's like now they're teaching like completely different agendas and stuff. And it's just it's insane, like where it was years and years ago to where it is now.
Isn't it weird that like every society, when you stop bringing God into the classroom and you change it with some type of ideology or perversion or movement in our country's history, it almost seems like empires have always fallen when you remove God out of the equation. Because then they push these gender studies on kids or these Palestine movements, and it just makes the kids stupid and retarded. And we are falling as a nation, not just a nation, but the world right now. And it all started when Trump was out of office. All of a sudden, all the borders around the country or world just opened up, and then the world went to shit. And now they are emptying their prisons around the world and sending them across our border. They, like Trump says, they aren't sending their best people. They're sending their worst. They're emptying their prisons and sending them across to America. And you can easily see it if you just open up your eyes and look outside.
We're going downhill, and it's really, really sad that everybody is kind of falling for it,
It's a humanist agenda.
Yeah.
I mean, what they did was they removed God because the government actually wants to be God in your life. And you saw the greatest example of that during COVID. Like, people were turning on their TV screens and like worshiping whatever Dr. Fauci said. It was scary. I mean, they had signs in their yards like, thank you, Dr. Fauci, like he was God. And if Dr. Fauci came down and said, like, don't see your grandma, people did it. It did it.
It's crazy. That's crazy.
Commandment that they must follow. And you have to reflect on that and realize how much of a humanist agenda that really was. Like, place your faith in man, place your faith in the experts. It is such a perversion of the word of God. And
when they say trust the experts, I always do the opposite. I mean, the fact that they have Dr. Fauci out there trying to regulate the rules and tell us how to live our lives during this, and I'm not going to go into specifics because I will get banned again for 2 weeks like last time. But what I say is to work out, eat healthy, stay in shape. Fitness is key. Treating your body right is key. Doing the opposite of what mainstream news tells you, especially big media. I've always done the opposite. For example, wearing the mask. We already know how that worked out. Never did that. I worked out and ate healthy, and I was fine the whole time. Always do the opposite of what the government tells you to do because they have been caught lying time and time again in our country's history. So why believe them now, especially when it comes to something that could be fatal?
Was done intentionally and very slowly, I believe, by the communists that came into this country. And I believe that they were the ones that instilled the public education system. Push for that.
Makes sense. So Candace, where's the best place to live? Like, where's the best place to grow up? What's the best, highest quality of life you can get as of right now in the world, would you say?
The South. I mean, I'm in Tennessee. I absolutely love this state. It's the best place I've ever lived. We were between here and Texas. I do love my Texans. There will always be like a brotherhood between the Texans and the Tennesseans. I mean, they call us the volunteer state because we volunteered to help Texas.
Gotcha.
But everything that you're told by the media about the South being backwards and racist and, slow is a complete lie because they don't want you realizing that the people down here are getting something right. They value their family. They value their friendships, they value their neighbors, and they do not want the government in their business. And so if that's backwards, I don't want to be forward.
Gotcha. Candace, what is your background? Where did you...
Limited government. Stay out of our lives. Get shit handled around the country to make sure we are secure and safe as a country. But besides that, stay the hell out of our lives. We can make our own decisions. We can make our own money. We don't need you regulating and taxing us into oblivion because you're F-ups. And that's exactly what's happening now. They are screwing this country up off our taxpayer dime on a daily basis. And it is not okay.
Up? What's your ethnicity? I'm just curious because, like you said, like a lot of people are under the impression, the South is all full of racist people and all this stuff. So tell me about your background.
So I grew up in Connecticut, and it's funny because during my formative years, I moved in with my grandparents when I was 7 years old. Okay. And my grandfather, even though we were living in Connecticut, he's from the South. He's from Fayetteville, North Carolina. He grew up in the segregated South, grew up on a sharecropping farm. And he's the one that instilled early on in me the conservative values that I have today. I always remind people I took a very liberal route to conservatism. So don't worry, I was a feminist. I was like, yay, let's go party. And, during the 18, 19, 20, 21. But I came back to my faith. I came back to conservatism because I realized that the happiest and the best people that I ever knew were my grandparents. Married when they were 17 years old, stayed married until my grandmother's dying day. And what they put first always were their values, their faith and their family. And so when you start to see that, whereas in the beginning, I was like running away from my grandparents. I was so embarrassed that they were like the Bible Belt Christians that people tell you about. And then you realize, man, they were so happy and it was so simple. And it's because they believed in order, just order. They believed in respect. My grandmother respected my grandfather. Like they believed even in traditional masculinity and traditional femininity. Like there is a natural order to things. And
there is a difference between men and women. We all have our strengths. We all have our weaknesses. But I am so sick of this feminist movement where they're like degrading men on a daily basis, telling them what you need to do for them before you guys even go out on a date. It's just, they're almost like demanding in a way. And you know what? I know both sides can be shitty. I know men and women can suck, but we need to start being realistic in regards to, yes, men are the strong ones. And also men can be better to women in ways, but traditional roles in regards to women and men, we need to stop trying to switch them up because that's just not going to happen. For example, who are you going to want leading us as a commander-in-chief when you're around Xi Jinping and Putin? Are you going to want Kamala, who's going to laugh her ass off and probably get ignored when they're calling or when the Americans are calling if she's president? But you think they're going to be doing that to Trump? No, because they didn't F with us when Trump was president. They respected him. They knew even if it was just a little chance, because Trump would threaten him and they never knew if he was serious, but he got into their head to the point where they never did mess with us because Trump led through strength and peace at the same time, because we had peace through strength, as he says. Come on. Sorry for the
works.
bats.
Men should be men. Women should be women. We shouldn't be trying to breed the natural aggression out of men by telling them it's toxic. Like, we can't survive without strong men. That aggression is what protects homes and protects families. We shouldn't be trying to breed femininity out of women, like encouraging them to be clinically obese and not care about their looks because F the patriarchy. Like, that's a beautiful design. Like, we're meant to be the weakness in men, right? Like, it's such a beautiful yin and a beautiful yang. And once you realize that our world is disordered in the West because they keep fighting natural order, then you become like me and you just become like obsessed with saying like, no, like we're going back to the basics. And that's what I believe I am. I just defend natural order as it is.
Got it. Yeah, no, I understand that. I have a question for you that I've always wondered because, 10 years ago when I was, I was like in my teens, well, yeah, like a teenager. So when I would go to like New York and when I would go to like Los Angeles, they were completely different than what they are now. Even San Francisco, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. California is one of the most beautiful states ever. Beautiful weather, everything. Now you go to
California is definitely not beautiful now. Some parts are, and yes, they were. They I would say they're scared of Trump now, but back then they were actually. Before Trump ran, they were actually friends. They actually loved him. And then the minute he ran as a conservative, then he was just called a racist overnight and a bigot. Then all these lies started happening on a daily basis. Skip 12 years later, it's still happening on a daily basis, and people are still buying the lies on a daily basis. But yes, California, I live in the state of California, and it looks like shit right now, guys. Trust me. Rockland, Roseville, Placer County, those are probably the better areas, but most of California is a dumpster fire, especially in the Sacramento region.
these places, it's ruined. Newsom obviously ruined California. Everyone knows that. But even New York City it's horrible now. Have you been to New York recently or LA recently?
New York literally has a stench now. It has a stench. It's so disgusting.
It's sad.
And filthy.
Yeah, it's so sad. My question to you, Candace, is is there any hope for these cities, these big cities? Like, can they come back, or are they pretty much they're done?
It's difficult for me with the policies that Gavin Newsom passed to see how California can come back. New York, I will hold a candle out for. Look, I was born in New York, so I might be speaking completely biased here. But you're right. I mean, these cities sell you freedom so that they can enslave you. Yeah. And that's what's happened across the board. These inner cities have been completely enslaved by the concept of freedom, like believing in this dream that everything can be free and you have to be accepting of everything. And then you look around you and you realize that like you've been completely dominated by this concept of
that's what I said. I said the Democrats say they're the party of acceptance, but what they will do is say it's about acceptance at first and then eventually push you into a corner until you have to react. For example, these Venezuelan gangs that are taking over, eventually they're going to push us into a corner and people are going to have to react. I see people in Chicago warning them, yeah, you're here now, but keep on effing around. You're going to find out. We don't mess around like that in Chicago. I know Colorado, I believe, is a huge liberal state, so I'd understand if patriots do not want to help them because they voted for that, so they got it. I do not think that people deserve to get their properties taken over, but I mean, the community should link together and figure this out. I mean, the fact that the cops and the government, the locals, authorities there aren't doing anything just blows my mind. Like, where are they? Yet they are literally cashing these illegals out with free EBT, free insurance, free monthly payments, like top housing over Americans and homeless veterans on the street. And it's sad. We don't deserve this at all as a country.
Never actually real, and you've become really a slave to your own vices. And so that's why people are fleeing the cities. I wish them luck. I would move out of California if I lived there on the basis of the policies which even control your children and control your children's bodies. For me, I could never be there. I think it's horrific.
It's horrible. When I went to high school in California, and I talked about this with President Trump, and they tell you, we hate Trump and all these things, like he's bad, he's a crook, all this stuff, and they're never ever supposed to endorse politics on children. That's parents' jobs to teach them and inform them on certain topics like that. Why do teachers discuss that? It's crazy. What are your thoughts on like that? We already talked about the education system, but like, what are your thoughts on like how like these public education systems, how corrupt they are, and these teachers they're now allowed to voice their own political opinions down and stuff?
Before she answers, they're grooming these kids in these classrooms. They are getting you, especially the ones who, let's say, get picked on or may not feel like they're part of a crew or have that many friends. They will specifically look out, and then they will groom you, and they will say there's something wrong with you, and then they will push this nonsense on you. They go for the most vulnerable, the weakest, and then they push it on everyone else. You are told that you're racist based off your skin color at a young age and that you might have gender confusion. So they're literally coming at you from every angle when you're just starting out in classroom. I feel like if parents aren't involved, especially in our state of California, they have no hope, especially coming at them at a young age. And now there's bills being passed where they can literally, they being the government, come in and can take your children away from you if you do not agree with the preferred pronoun that your kid has learned in school. Like, are you kidding me? Come again? You're going to tell me my kid's going to come and tell me what I need to call them? No, I'm not going to play along with that. I'm going to be an adult. We're going to be adults here. And I'm going to tell you, no, I'm your parent. This is who you are. Because you're a kid. You don't get to tell me who you are and what to call you. I'm the parent. And the parents are trying way too hard to be friends with the kids these days. And it pisses me off. They'd rather be friends and allow this grooming to continue than to bite it down and just take care of it right then and there. Because the longer this grooming goes on in schools, the more brainwashed and indoctrinated they get.
Yeah, well, they're not teachers, they're activists. And that is the reason why they wanted to set up the public school system that federalized public education for a reason, because it allows them to choose their activists, and they're training up these activists and university campuses, which have become totalitarian states. And so, yes, are there good teachers? Of course. But the reality is, especially when you get into the inner city community, you have a bunch of people that are activists who believe that that the students are their children, that they're not the children of the parents. And they're constantly trying to teach them, to brainwash the children into believing that their parents are backwards. Thomas Sowell has a really great book on that, like how they made that incursion following the Department of Education being established in the 1970s. And the book is called Inside the Education System. It's a wonderful read. I mean, they intentionally sexualized kids. Before the Department of Education was established, the majority of high schoolers were graduating with their virginity. Planned Parenthood got into the classroom. They have, a seated audience, and they routinely feed them poison. And the sooner that parents recognize that and realize that this is just Soviet propaganda, this is like, these are Soviet classrooms. We always study propaganda and we're like, oh yeah, like Stalin did that. That could never happen here. No, you too are victims of propaganda. I was a victim of propaganda. And the sooner that you realize it, the sooner you can avoid it.
100%. 100%. I want to ask you a question that my entire chat is spamming me to ask. It's about Kanye. They said, because I've been trying to get Kanye on like my stream. I've been close like 2 or 3 times. They said,
I don't care to hear about that part, guys. Sorry.
Super interesting. I want to ask you a question that's related to you. Would you ever run for presidency, or do you have any type of motivation to run an office of any type of branch or anything like that?
Before she answers that, I want to comment on that. I would love Candace Owens to run for office. I think she would be brilliant. Ruth, homeschool, and I'm sure Trump would be open to a tax break for homeschools. Yeah, actually, I believe he's offering people who are teaching kids outside of schools and instead in their homes are actually going to be getting tax breaks or getting paid to teach outside of schools. I believe that is a good thing to push moving forward for Trump, because the schools have just turned into an indoctrination camps at this point. They are dumbing down the kids while they are grooming the kids at the same time and telling them that they're racist for their skin color. I feel like we have no hope in regards to the school system unless Trump really takes a strong stance on his next administration and fires the whole teachers union. We need to do a deep dive and get rid of these systems that have been put in place where these unelected bureaucrats are just wreaking havoc on the children. And as I'll always say, the children are the most vulnerable. We need to protect them at all costs. If I have a kid and they say they are the opposite gender, we're going to fix that mindset. Yes. Kids do not run the parents. The parents are the parents. You need to tell your kids no, because as we know, kids' minds are all over the places. One day they want to be a superhero. Are you going to go along with that and pretend like they're a superhero? Stop playing clown world with your children. Stop letting them dictate everything. You are the adult. You are the parent, not them, not the other way around.
So I can
Oh,
honestly
real quick, but I lost track. I would love for Candace to run office. I think she is brilliant, strong, independent woman. I actually originally in the past wanted her, Byron Donalds, to be VP up until recently, where I've listened to more Vivek, and I would love for yeah. Can you imagine Vivek Candace ticket? Oh, Vivek Owens 2028. I'm calling it now. Let's do that, y'all. I would love for Candace Owens and Vivek to run together in 2028. That would be the card.
say I have no motivation at the moment. I never say never because I feel like we say something like that, we make plans, and then God laughs. And the next thing you know, you're running for office. What I can say that if I ever ran for president, it would be with Thomas Massey. Like I would either be his VP or ask him to be my VP.
I
I
like
think
Massey.
Thomas
He's a good
Massey
guy.
is the greatest person in Congress. He's the best that we have going for us. And if we had a bunch of Thomas Masseys, the country would be in a completely different state. But he's already there. So I'm just like, Thomas Massey, please run for president. And I will crawl over broken glass to vote for you and to do everything in my power to get America to vote for you. But for me, I love being a mom. I love being able to have a podcast. I love being able to speak about issues that I really care about. Like I'm so anti-vax, and being able to share why that is with parents and to really be able to connect with.
Stupid ads. Sorry, guys. Stupid ads. I hate these ads. They're so common in these lives. Sorry. There we go.
Them as a person. I don't think you get to do that as a president because all you're constantly having to do is fight battles of people lying about you every day.
It's true. It's a bunch
Which
of
I guess I still do now as well, but whatever.
Yeah, you probably have a lot of ops enemies, all the libtards on X trying to come at you because they come at me too all the time. It's insane. They have this. They're so deep too. Why are they so deep? But you never see them in person. They're so deep.
They're bots. They're paid programmers. They're bots. I guarantee they could run 20 accounts at once, but no one's buying that the libtards is a majority. They are a very small minority. Hence why all the videos you see on social networks are usually talking down about Kamala Harris, the Democrats, or that the Democrats are soft or that they don't support them. Only people I see supporting the Democrats these days are old, white liberals or indoctrinated white liberals or single minority voters. That's usually it. Single woman, 100%. Men are skyrocketing support for Trump. Not women, single woman, their main. So men are finally voting off policy and getting to know what policy is. Women that are single and liberal, their main focus is abortions. That's it. Yet they say they stand for black lives, but it's black lives that are being killed the most with this abortion clinic. And also a white, racist, liberal Democrat named Margaret Sanger was the one who opened up Planned Parenthood. Why, you may ask? To depopulate minority babies. Her own words, not mine. Look it up if you don't believe me. And yes, I love Tulsi Gabbard too, Ruth. She is amazing. I agree, though. I forgot about Tulsi. Maybe we'll do Tulsi first and Vivek, and then Candace next. I hope you guys like Vivek. I really love Vivek.
Right? I've never seen somebody that quote tweets my tweet with like 100,000 likes, millions of views, and they're just like, "Wow, this transphobic streamer," and like it's insane. But I don't see them in person. I want to have a conversation with you. I don't know. I don't get it. Yeah, it's probably
Twitter thugs. That's why
Twitter thugs.
They would never say anything in person because that's where they get their power. They're like, they do this and they hit send and they're so tough. And I'm like, you would never say that to me in my face. You know that I would never accept you saying that to my face. So they have to stay behind their phones.
Yeah, no. You had mentioned there was a school shooting today, and there's quite some that happened. I don't know what the ratio is. I don't want to. I'm misinformed on the ratio, but it happens. I see it a lot, right? I want to ask you what can we do about school shootings because it's a really really big issue. Kids are kids, and no kid deserves to lose their life over that ever.
Before she answers, my resolution to school shootings is start putting armed guards there. Start bringing in cops. We need metal detectors as well. Who cares what the left says? What they're gonna say? I don't even know what their defense is. They have no defense because all they ever just say is let's ban guns. What about the law-abiding ones? I think this is a conversation and subject that is very easily fixable. You put security guards that are armed on each side. You have metal detectors. Make sure doors are locked when class is in session. If it's that serious, we should be protecting them at these costs. Multiple guards. I don't care how many it takes, but until we see the shootings go down, load them up with security, cops, ex-military who are loaded, so this can't happen. Because if we had more armed guards there who are expatriates or still in the military and are patriots still, then this wouldn't be happening. But the left, all they like to do is give lip service with no resolutions in regards to the gun problem. You want to know why? Because it's on purpose. They only use it for the little political message. That's it.
So what do you
Metal
think we do about school
detectors,
shootings?
yes.
Well, the number one cause of school shootings is pharmaceuticals, the one discussion that the media will never have with you because they're all bought and paid for by Big Pharma. And so they point the finger, they blame a ton of things. They will blame everything from video gaming to rap music to Donald Trump every single time, to Republicans, to the NRA. And they never tell us what drugs the kids are on. And they're all on drugs. You can see it in their eyes. You know what pharmaceuticals do to someone. You know what a pharmaceutical cocktail does to somebody. And be very clear here that the CIA wanted to see, they did literal experiments to figure out how they could brainwash people to commit mass crimes. Yep. And I talk about the books that I encourage people to read online, to learn about MK Ultra, to learn about all the mind control.
I've said this from the top so many times. Our biggest enemy right now, I wouldn't say is anyone overseas or a different country. I think it's the CIA. I think the CIA runs everything from the top down. They're the one that runs the Epstein Island, the Diddy Islands. They're the ones that goes into these other countries and force in dictators so they can actually control every situation. They're the one that are allowing the open border situation or the grooming kids. They run the rap industry as well and the movie industry. Do a deep dive into the CIA and you'll be surprised by how much they run. They run everything. I would say worldwide. They are in the pockets. Yeah, they are the decision masters. They are the most corrupt people with the most power, and we need to eliminate the CIA completely. That's just my belief.
Programs, COINTELPRO, and the things that our CIA has been up to. They know that there is a cocktail of medicine that can make people crazy and schizophrenic. There's a wonderful book called Chaos that I've encouraged people to read that's written by Tom O'Neill, which will really make you understand what your government is. You better believe the deep state is in fact evil, and none of that is a conspiracy. It's recorded fact that this researcher got after 25 years of filing FOIA requests. And so when you realize that they know that they are making these kids insane, they know that these drugs and these SSRIs that they're putting kids on are not good for their brain, and then as soon as a shooting happens, you never hear anybody talk about Big Pharma, we're never going to get to the root of school shootings. You know, kids are not supposed to be drugged. Your brain is not supposed to be drugged. You know, clearly what's going on with Britney Spears, everyone's trying to jump conspiracy theories. That's your brain when you are being, you know, Big Pharma has put a cocktail of drugs to experiment with your brain over a long period of time. That is the result. And so we don't have honest conversations about school shooting because nobody, I guess, has the courage to stand up to Big Pharma when they're the biggest lobbying group in DC.
Pharmacies are all a trap, right? Pharmacies are so fucked up. People really, it's crazy.
Bye, Ruth. Hope you have a great night.
It's so easy. It's so easy to just prescribe someone on a bunch of medication that's poison to us. It's like they don't even care. They write a prescription so easily for anything. You go to a doctor, I have anxiety, or I have back pain, or something like that. You're gonna get prescribed like an opioid or something. It's so nuts without even like trying something else to try to resolve it. It's just so easy to prescribe.
It's because it's on purpose. Big Pharma makes a lot off these pharmaceuticals and all these stuff that they're pushing on the public. Why do you think there's so many drugs out now and why they're pushing on the public? Because they make money off it. Back in the day, they dealt with stuff that they went through as adults because that's what adults do. Now they're just drugging these people up or coming up with these new things just to make money and profit off it. That's all Big Pharma is about.
Prescribe an opioid. And, you know, I suffered like a very, very bad opioid addiction that I'm open about. And it's like, I understand it. Like, I understand how like it's a trap and it's like, it's all it's a whole mess. All that whole pharmaceutical.
Well, good for you for getting for combating opioid addiction, because it's incredibly hard. That is not an easy thing. Like you are blessed.
I'm an ex-addict myself, and I've been clean for years. And let me tell you, I can see where he's coming from. The drug epidemic is a serious matter, and this administration sadly is doing nothing to fix it. Actually, the open border is causing the mass influx of drugs that are entering our country and killing our most vulnerable. It's very sad, very easily preventable. It's just this administration is doing this on purpose.
That you are in the minority of people that are able to beat their opioid addictions, and to think that the people who didn't beat it, the people that have died, people that have turned to the streets because they can't get another prescription after Big Pharma literally made them addicts. Yeah. And let a drug dealer get caught selling something, they go to prison. Yeah. What happens to Big Pharma? Oh, they get a fine.
Nothing.
I'm sorry that we turned the whole nation into a bunch of opioid addicts. We're willing to cut the check for $1 billion. They already knew it was addicting.
Let me tell you guys how I got into it. So I liked how it made me feel. And then what I did is I went to a doctor to see a doctor. I didn't even give him any x-rays or proof that I was in pain. I just told him, this is what I'm taking. I'm going to go buy it on the street so you can give me it now. And he gave me 300, no joke, first time meeting this doctor, 360 pills for 1 month starting. I could have easily died by all those. I was given methadone and Norcos, 10 milligrams each. 360 pills total a month. How is that legal? These people should be locked up.
They already set aside money that they knew they were going to have to eventually pay. It's a complete racket. And at the end of the day, it's the American people that are suffering because of all of these drugs. And so I really encourage people, don't take these drugs until you really understand. Your doctor is being paid to offer you certain drugs. I mean, even birth control. I'm also rapidly against birth control after learning all of the research. Why do you think so many women are struggling with infertility? Why do they think these drugs were created in the first place? To make women infertile. So it's
first off, I'm not going to dig into
it's just such a racket when you learn the history of these drugs and how these drugs were able to get passed by the FDA and what they always knew about these drugs, and then to see people suffering down the line, it truly is an evil.
It's horrible. This is when I was 12 years old. I have a story for you. When I was 12, I was sleeping one time, and my uncle, he was on a bunch of drugs. Meth, and he walks in and stabs me with a knife in my sleep. It's crazy. Yeah, stabbed me. Yeah, pulled the knife out, screamed, went to the hospital. But I'm just saying, it's insane because he was prescribed a bunch of drugs and he got off the prescription, and then he was on meth. And it's crazy. I still see my uncle now and stuff. Thanksgivings and stuff like that.
The drug dealers aren't on the streets, by the way. They're in back offices at the FDA. They're in your government. Those are the big guys. If you think it's El Chapo, you're out of your mind.
And then the drug dealers and gangs that are on the streets selling fentanyl-laced pills and drugs are ran through the feds, the government, because best believe they know where these gangs are that are bringing these drugs across the country. They're helping them get in. So it's literally these gangs and our government and the CIA all working together to just F us in the butt from behind on a daily basis. It's very sad because I keep on saying, we need to protect the children. They are the most vulnerable in these scenarios.
Families, the Merck family, the families that have been made billions and trillions of dollars by turning Americans into addicts. It's totally sick and disturbing.
It's horrible. Wait, Candace, how many minutes do I have with you? Sorry, I was curious.
You're good. Don't worry about it.
You're good?
You can get all your questions asked.
Well, I wanted to ask some fun stuff, too, because, what I wanted to do with President Trump is, he's not all political. It's a human being at the end of the day. I want to ask, first off, what are some hobbies you like to do? You're a person, you know what I mean? You're like everyone else. You have interests and stuff. What are some of your interests and hobbies that you do?
Okay, so the newest hobby that I picked up in the last couple of years, which people have seen on my Instagram, is gardening, because I realized one day that we're all on welfare if you don't know how to grow your own food. And so I got super into that.
Let's skip that part.
Love it.
Or
These
their
ads,
soft,
man, are
hard,
killing
and
me.
chewy
Sorry,
caramels. Discover the original fall flavor.
Sorry, guys. Stupid ads.
Access means an extra room for the abuela.
Access means being able to.
Come on.
Italian food. It's really bad.
Super good.
I feel like that stereotype too. I think Jake has been more authentic about who he is, and he's never really drifted into the woke BS. And like Logan was hardcore simping for like,
Oh,
I don't know, like BLM. Oh, like he literally like on his show called me like a self-hating Black person in one of his like streams. And I was just like, I don't even remember who was next to him. And that was super lame. And then when I said, oh, let me come on your show, he wouldn't do that. Now he's kind of shifting, obviously. And I hope it's authentic, but I feel like now it's easy to stand up to being woke, and it wasn't as easy before. And I think it's
this
also
goes to all of the celebrities who are now kind of going in support of Trump. I mean, you see the Dwayne the Rock Johnson doing a full 360. All of these big Hollywood actors are now coming in support of Trump because they can see the clear like double standard and like how everything is crazy right now under this administration, where before everything was peaceful. We had peace across the east, we had no wars, we were doing pretty damn good for an economy. We had a record economy with record low minority unemployment. So it's changed quite a bit. And the good thing about this upcoming administration is we have 4 years of each. We have 4 years of Trump that we can go on, and we have 4 years of Biden that we can go on. We can go on the record economy before COVID that Trump set up. Or how about the the inflation is a lot higher and that we are in a depression, regardless if this administration wants to admit it or not. They think we're stupid, but the population is waking up and riding with Trump. And I believe that. I think we are the majority now, and not just by a little bit, but by a long shot. Hope you guys enjoyed that live reaction. Please like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you want me to react to anything in the future, just let me know. Love you guys. Peace.